Thank you.
To Blackout. We're recording live-ish from the North Hollywood fourth wall. We got Travis Clyburn on the ones and twos,
whoop, whoop.
The man, and then joining in studio, very excited. You may have heard him on Your Mom's House podcast, After Dark with Dr. Drew, Dr. Drew After Dark, the Honeydew podcast. He opens for Tom Segura on the road. We got Josh Potter.
What's up? What's up? Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Is this live for real? Like we're streaming live?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not Joe Rogan.
We can't stream live.
Even he can't do that now.
He can't?
No, because YouTube is so weird with their copyright laws.
Really?
Like if you play any video that someone is trying to monetize on YouTube, it could be anything.
Yeah.
If you play that, then they try and steal all the revenue from that entire episode.
Well, so like people's videos that he's played, they're trying to steal his fucking revenue.
Yeah,
basically.
but it could be
Wow.
like a still of one even. It's so weird. It's like weird that they let them do that. So Rogan had to stop streaming live.
Which is crazy because they've won all these fair use lawsuits and stuff. So many YouTubers have like been like, no, I'm allowed to use this in some degree.
Yeah.
So it's crazy that they're coming after. I mean, Rogan's making so much money that I imagine it's just a matter of time before people come after it.
Well, it's like, and it's so silly. Why lose the revenue for an entire episode for that one clip? They'll just have to edit it out.
Yeah. The craziest part is when you see like the Bonfire or Jim and Sam show, they'll like now they just like play a clip that they're watching and like you can't hear it, but they can hear it. So it's just like it'll just be like a minute of them watching a clip, but it's just radio silence.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Yeah.
Because on radio,
I think it may just be for the YouTube videos.
yeah, it's got to be for the YouTube videos.
Yeah, but it's so weird because it's just like you know.
I think for like iTunes and stuff, I think you can play whatever the fuck you
yeah,
want.
iTunes, Sirius, you could do all. That's all fair use because they can't like put a watermark in the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
But on YouTube, it's so weird. It's like I try to like find hoops within it, but it's so fucked up. It's
Yeah, you
Sorry.
need some top-notch fucking
It's
fair use
terrible.
attorney. There are a lot of
Yeah.
really cool fair use attorneys out there on YouTube fighting for people to use whatever the fuck they want, though.
Well, that's cool.
Which is, I mean, eventually, hopefully, it'll all work itself out. But YouTube's such a Goliath.
I just want to be able to play like any song I want on a thing. Like
yeah,
I wanted.
good luck.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, I know that.
I wanted Blackout by Method Man and Redman for the intro of this podcast so bad, but obviously I don't have the money to pay Redman and Method Man.
If you were on terrestrial radio, you could do it
Well, shit.
because they already pay music licensing.
What's up?
Oh, nice. Shout out.
Well,
Potential
shit.
sponsor.
Now we know. Well, shit, dude. How? Tell me. I guess everybody, if you want to go research what Josh Potter is about, you can go listen to all those podcasts. It's so interesting to meet a dude that like I've heard a shitload about on podcasts and stuff. He's an ant.
Was that really cool?
Yeah. I don't know why I just expect anybody with any notoriety to just be like, hey, go fuck yourself if I ask them a question.
Well, it was funny when you asked me to do this podcast. I was like, sure. And then you were like, are you sure? And I thought that was hilarious.
I don't know, dude.
I was like, what am I going to be like? You know what? Come to think of it, I don't want to do it.
Because like I feel like people are either being too nice or they're being like, like, well, I guess
No,
I'll
if
do
I
it.
couldn't do it or didn't want to, I'd be like, I can't. I wouldn't be like, sure, and then be like, I hope he gives me an out.
Well, I'm such a neurotic pussy that like I swear to God, like if somebody doesn't follow me back on Instagram, sometimes I'm like, I feel terrible about myself. So it's just like I'm like, as long as he follows me back, as long as like I'll make these arbitrary rules in my head. So I don't know why I perceive.
You got to not think about Instagram so much, dog.
No, it's just that's very true. Listen, well, shit, dude. Tell me about you.
What do you want to know?
What because I've heard on podcasts you've had a little bit of trouble with the law, things like that.
Oh yeah.
Do you have any stories?
Yeah, this is a
particular?
substance abuse podcast, right?
Yes.
I mean,
So to
it's
speak.
it's not. It's just about.
And you're sober now, right?
I am. Yeah.
I am not, as
Yeah,
evidenced
no, I
by
don't
me
give a
drinking a
shit.
beer
Yeah.
here at 2 p.m. I'm sorry, I didn't even think about it.
I don't know. I'm not a.
And I'm also super high right now. But no, I mean, yeah, I've had I guess I've never really gone to extraordinarily extreme levels to the point where I needed to address it in the way that you have. But I've also not gone like a Quaker either, you know? I'm kind of just like, I've teeter-tottered in both directions, you know? So like, yeah, I got a DWI when I was like 23. It was 10 years ago. And it was pretty like, you know, I got only a .09 or whatever. It wasn't drastically over the legal limit. I didn't kill anybody. I didn't hurt myself. I just got pulled over by a police officer when I was drinking. And now were there times where I was like blackout driving home? Of course. And thankfully I didn't get arrested in those times. And then I really like had a wake up call about drinking and driving in that point in my life where I was like, well, this obviously sucks. Like just for the pure factor of money alone, this sucks. And I got off easy because like I said, I didn't do anything horrible about it. So, I mean, I adjusted from there, but I still drink. Now I don't drive, so it's like, well, I can drink all the time. You know, will that catch up with me at some point? Maybe. I don't know. But, yeah, so I guess I never really, as far as drinking goes, that's not even really my favorite thing, drinking.
Yeah.
You know? I love weed. I'll smoke weed before everything. Like, if we were on a plane and the plane was going down, and they were like, Josh, you need to like land this plane. You got to get on the radio and talk to the tower and land this plane. I'm gonna need to do a bong rip before I do that, and you're gonna want me to do a bong rip. You're not gonna want me all like doing that shit. I'm gonna do a bong rip, and then I'm gonna land that shit like Sully. You know
So
what
it
I'm
for
saying?
real it like gears you in when you smoke.
Yeah, it definitely dials me in because it makes me think about the task at hand.
Yeah.
Versus all of the things that could go wrong forever from now, which is what I think about constantly when I'm sober.
So like slows your overactive mind, basically.
I guess that's true. I mean, is it overactive when it's just like impending doom all the time? It's like things I can't control or change or any of that. So it's like things that could be 10 years from now, could be things that are just theoretical. But if it's like I have a set, I have a task, I get high, it's just like all about that, and then we'll deal with all that other shit later, you know?
Yeah. No, that's interesting because it's just, you know, the other funny thing is like when people feel... I feel like sobriety is such a like there's this weird like everybody thinks it's so altruistic and good like from the outside, and I don't have that perspective of it. So like when I say it on stage, I've been sober for 4 years and people applaud, I'm like for what? Like I just adjusted a thing that I was bad at. Like that's it. Like it was like it would be like if I were evading taxes and I started paying my taxes. Like I'm not able to do it. So if people can do it, I'm like, yeah, fucking do your thing. But that being said, like people doing it, I envy people who can do it responsibly just because I can't.
Well, responsibly is not really the word I'd use to describe the way that I do it. I mean, it just hasn't gotten out of my realm of control per se. That even seems weird to say. I don't know. It's just like I get more full before I get too drunk, I guess, you know? And I have blackout stories from drinking liquor in the past where I didn't know the limits on those things. You're learning those things through college and stuff. I guess I started late too. Like I don't know when you started
20
drugs and stuff, drinking. I started like in college. So that I remember I went freshman year to visit my girlfriend at the time at Gannon University in Pennsylvania. And I wasn't really drinking that much, but she was drinking with her friends and I like missed her and I wanted to like party with them and them to think I'm cool and stuff. So I was drinking like vodka crayons with them or whatever. And I probably had like 65. I didn't know like the ratio of vodka to cranberry juice and like, all of that stuff. I'm just making it up as I go. And I last thing I remember is drinking with them. And then the next day I woke up on her couch and that was like all I knew of what happened.
Yeah.
But then she like sat down in front of me and was like, last night was ridiculous. And in not like a good way. This is like a person who sits down to tell you like your dad died kind of face.
Oh, no.
But it was like she's going through the whole night and it was like, you screamed at this person and then you like ran down the street with your shirt off, like horrific, like look on her face the whole time. And I don't remember any of this. But here now I have to go home. I feel like shit. I'm hungover as hell. I have to drive like 2 hours home or whatever and understand that I maybe just ruined this relationship, you know what I mean, at the same time, which I did. Yeah. And so it was like, those were always my blackouts. Like, I've only really had 3 that I can look back on and go like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Actually 2 probably. But it was like that where it's, I don't know anything that happened. The next day I wake up, thank God. And to a degree, thank God. And then it's people telling me like, last night got a little ridiculous.
Isn't that the worst, like most sinking feeling in the world, where it's just like you wake up otherwise pretty peacefully, and you're like, oh, I went to sleep, and then it's like, oh, I whipped my dick out and peed on somebody's face.
Right. And you're like, I did what? I said
God.
what?
That is the craziest feeling, like someone telling you that you did all these fucked up things and having no memory of it. Or do you ever get the Vietnam flashbacks where it's like you remember a segment of it?
And you go, I did do that fucked up thing.
That's the worst when you have that partial memory almost. Like I'd rather just be like, I have no idea what you're
because
about.
then you can have plausible deniability where you're like, I think you're still full of shit.
That's how my DUI was because like I kind of came to with the cops being there.
Oh no.
But like I tried to smoke the breathalyzer when he gave it to me.
I thought lit it like
dude, that's hilarious.
No, I asked him. I was like,
"Where's the carb on your dude?
How do I pull this thing out?
You're a cool cop, dude." Yeah. No, because I thought I was like, you know, like I guess when you get too drunk, it's like kind of a hallucination thing where I was like, I just forgot where the fuck I was.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Do you have a lighter?" And like, because I've seen the body cam footage, and I literally say, "Do you have a lighter?" And he goes, "No, you're supposed to blow into it." I'm like, what? So and then I woke up being like, oh, and then I thought I was nailing the fucking the test,
the walk.
And I was just literally, it looked like I was skipping across rocks on a river. Like, but in my head, I just remember being like, I have no idea.
Fooling them right now, baby. Z47. You're not saying like numbers.
Can you say? God damn it! Look at my finger. You look at my finger. You don't even know who you are, dude.
No, mine was I just cried when he pulled me. I'm like, I'm not that drunk. I'm like, please just let me go. They're like, we can't do that.
Dude, didn't you blow a .08 like something?
09,
yeah.
And like usually, they take you then to the station, and that's like your official BAC or whatever. But I was literally across the highway from the station.
Oh,
so they just had to like go up and exit and then go across the bridge and then go down. So the guy was like, sorry.
Dude, I pulled my car over, and I tell this on the first episode of this. I pulled my car over in front of the courthouse. So the cop came out of the courthouse because he saw me pull over, and he dragged me out of the car, and then I thought he was just some dude, and so I spat in his face.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was very
wow. See, that's one where I'll wake up and I spit in a cop's face.
Yeah.
Yep. Like, I did what?
Yeah, it was fantastic.
I'm
and
so
then
glad I didn't do anything like that.
Yeah, I shared
I apparently was really, because when I got my DUI, I was completely blacked out. I blew like a .24, like real high.
A .24 for you has to be like.
Yeah, what were you drinking?
You're a big dude.
I had fasted all day.
Drink
I
like
didn't eat anything, and I drank all day. Like I drank probably a gallon of alcohol.
You're doing fucking like keg stands on the water tower,
dude. Like basically, like I went fucking hard. Like I had no money when I woke up, and I think I had a couple $100.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, one of those fucking things. Or either the cops stole my money.
You find out what happened with the money? Oh, you never found out, huh?
No, the cops didn't like. The 2 times I've been arrested, both times I know I had money in my wallet, and then it just disappeared.
Really?
Yeah, cops are cunts.
Fuck. Shit.
Yeah, especially. Like, there's no way they're not going to. I mean, then again, you never know. Maybe I did spend every fucking last penny. Like, didn't even have $1? Well, no.
When I was in New Orleans, I woke up. I went there for my 23rd birthday, and I had like $500 in my wallet, and I woke up, and it was all gone. And like, I was never like, somebody stole it. In my head, I was like, I totally could have just given that to somebody.
I would have been like, I definitely spent it.
Yeah. It was just, well, it was either that or like I could see myself like being like, "Do you want $100 bill? Sounds good. Here you go." Like I was just that kind of guy.
It's worse being almost
just would do
terrible
stupid shit.
Yeah, it's almost terrible being like a generous drunk.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'll buy shots. If I'm drunk, I'm like, shots for everyone. And they're like, that'll be $400. And you're like, okay.
separate tabs.
Yeah.
I'll buy her shot. Everybody else.
But I'll tell you this. I made a conscious decision at like 22, right before my DWE, believe it or not. Like the DWE kind of happened because I just started doing comedy. I was going out late at night. Sometimes you get paid in drinks.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, I got to get paid a lot. So I would do that. And like, so I had a bit of a jag where I was drinking a lot at night. But there was a point at 22 after like binge drinking through college in my first apartment, we had a party. And we went like across to someone else's party, across the like courtyard. We had like this nice apartment. All college kids lived in it. And we went across the courtyard, had a party, did a couple Jello shots. Then we came back to our place, and I thought it was going to be like a chill night, you know? And we're doing karaoke on our TV. And the last thing I remember is doing Total Eclipse of the Heart. And every like instrumental break where it would be like, da-da-da, like it would just be like the music playing. My buddy Richie would give me a double shot of Wild Turkey.
Oh no.
So I did like 7 in the song.
Jesus.
And the last thing I remember was the song, and that was it. And then I woke up in my bed. Everything on my bed is stripped off. I'm just sleeping on the mattress.
Whoa.
And my nightstand is like wiped clean. There's nothing on it. My bathroom is bare. The curtain rods are all taken down and everything. And the towel like things, the rods for that. I'm like, what the fuck? And my roommate came in, and he's like, Josh, last night was too wild. Like,
whoa.
He came in and was like, I had to come in and check on you in the middle of the night, and you had puke coming out of your mouth, and you're on your back, and I flipped you over, and like all this puke came out. And I was like, Jesus, thank you. And he's like, yeah, but like before that, it got really crazy, and you were like threatening to kill yourself in your bathroom.
What the fuck?
And you were like screaming and shit, and like tearing things off the wall. And I'm like, what? Like I thought last night was fun. And there was like a girl I brought to that party, and I was like, what happened to the girl? And they're like, she doesn't want to talk to you anymore.
Oh no.
And I'm like, what did I do to her? And they're like, well, you didn't really do anything to her, but she saw you just get ridiculous. And like we had 4 guys that lived in this like a condo, so to speak, and 2 of them I grew up with, and one of them was just like a random guy they assigned to us.
Right.
And he was there with his girlfriend at this party. And apparently his girlfriend, who I had never met before this party, was in the bathroom with me being like, you don't want to die. And she was like putting her fingers down my throat to like make me puke up the liquor and stuff, because I was just like so like dry heaving or what. I don't know.
Whoa.
And yeah, wild stuff, right? So like
bananas.
I like walked over to their room and like knocked on the door and was like, I'm so sorry for last night. I don't know what got over. It compounds a hangover for sure. Like you have all the physical, like I want to kill myself from a hangover, but then you have like this other side of it where it's like, God, I'm such a fucking loser. Like I can't believe I did that shit. And I remember going like, well, I'm just going to smoke weed at parties now. And I did that for the rest of college. I remember like people would make fun of me because I'd be sipping a beer for hours.
Right.
Or like I'd be on the same beer like 2 hours later while they had like 6 beers, but I would just get super high. I'd be like always packing a new bowl, you know?
Yeah.
But it would keep me level where I still had control, but I could still feel fucked up, versus the booze, which would get away from me, and then I would get that way where it's like blackout and I don't know what's going on, you know?
Yeah. How old are you now? You look like you could be
I'm
like a
33.
rough 25 or like a young 40.
I'm 33. No, I just shaved my beard, and everyone's like, you look 10 years younger, because I had like this huge beard. And I got gray and shit in it, you know? And so like I'm 33. People think I'm like super older, and that used to be the other way around. Like I remember when I was like 26, people thought I was like 17. Like if I shaved my face, that is. Like I would be clean shaven.
Right.
There's that dude Cole who comes in and he drinks a beer every day.
Cole Alexander.
He looks like he's 47.
I know. Like,
that's hilarious.
And I am 9 years older than him.
That's so
I think I'm older than him too, right?
You're much older. Yeah.
Yeah, he's 22.
Because I'm older than you, right?
Yeah, I'm only 29.
Yeah.
He's in his 20s?
Yeah, he's 22.
He's 21, yeah.
He's 22?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Cole?
dude. He has the best stories ever though. Like on his,
Dude,
like when he gets up and he's like, "I fuck trannies." I'm like, "Dude, tell me more."
That's hilarious that you're like, he's got the best stories, and they're all surrounding trannies.
Yeah,
so
well,
it's like
it's shit. Listen, I'm from Salt Lake. They're fantastic. It's just fantastic to hear people expressing themselves.
He's
of
from
course,
Orange
no,
County.
they're.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't call them the best stories.
No, but
say
interesting.
like he's got
just inherent.
say he's got a lot of tranny stories.
He's got a lot of tranny stories. He's got stories that in Utah would be considered taboo, which here in West Hollywood or wherever may be considered just talking about you went to get groceries today.
Oh yeah, that propensity is definitely more prevalent here in West Hollywood. But if you run in the right circles, it's everywhere. I'd guarantee you in Salt Lake City, there's a heavy tranny fucking population that you don't know about.
Yeah, definitely. There's also
They just keep it more low key.
Yeah, they got to keep it on the DL.
They don't talk about it on stage that often.
If anybody has tranny stories from Salt Lake City, you know my email.
Or if you're a tranny from Salt Lake City.
I don't. We
not that.
sorry about using the word tranny, by the way. Trans.
Oh yeah, right.
But I don't. Here's the thing. There's not that many of them.
Yeah,
they make it out to be like it's this huge percentage of the population. There are, I guarantee, more homeless people than transsexual people.
Oh,
for sure.
Fuck yeah.
100%.
I read an article last night that
They have no rights.
I read.
They don't. Homeless people have none.
It's true. Yeah.
Oh, dude, the fact that we outlawed fucking straws, but Skid Row's still a thing.
Yeah.
Right.
It's my favorite thing in the world. It's like
just anything. You could just use homeless people to trump it because it's just like, now it's crazy. So it's like these people are like veterans and stuff. Like there are all kinds of people. There might be even homeless trans people out there.
Homeless trans veterans.
Yeah,
sure there are.
Homeless trans veterans. That's my new
think
charity.
about those people.
Trans veterans sounds like it could be like a new Transformers.
Trans veterans.
The trans veterans.
But there are so few, and like you said, in Salt Lake City, I'd imagine there's even fewer. Because you probably don't have that many homeless people.
There's a decent homeless population just because the opiate use is so high now. So
I feel like there's a decent homeless population everywhere, but compared to Los Angeles.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Where it's like now, if I see a trans person in the street, I go, oh. Like, I go, like, not like, oh, like, I'm like, ugh, or anything like that.
Right.
I go, oh, it's like surprising. It's like, oh, there's a trans person. You recognize it. It's something that, like, alarms you. But a homeless person now is like a piece of furniture.
It's very
like
strange.
a tree. They're just everywhere.
Dude, I was just
plant.
thinking about this yesterday because I was just looking. I was literally just staring out of my car absentmindedly, just looking at a homeless woman laying on the ground. And like, I'm in my car with air conditioning. She's on the fucking street. So it's really weird.
I walk out my apartment and I go like just through the gate, and there's a same guy every day just on the fence. He sleeps 10 feet from me probably. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The only thing separating us is the wall.
Yeah.
So it's like it's just weird. It's just weird to think about. Like, that guy sleeps there every day. I sleep 10 feet from him through this wall every day in a bed, and I pay, 1,000% more than he pays to sleep over there.
For sure.
It's still kind of weird. We're like right next to each other.
Yeah. There's a homeless dude who walks around with a sign in my neighborhood that's not even a sign. It's just a cardboard sheet with no writing on it. And he just holds it up like this. And
it says nothing?
It's nothing. Not one thing on it. And
that's deep, man.
Yeah, it's very strange.
It's a new trend in marathons. They have people bring blank signs, and it's like fill your own inspiration in. Maybe that's what he's doing.
Maybe.
He's trying to get, it's like, whatever you think you need to give me money for, that's what's on here.
I saw him drinking sake one day. So you could be right.
Yeah. So he's good.
He's a very interesting. Wow. He's always drinking Steel Reserve, but then one day he switched it up, and maybe somebody gave him a nice bottle of rice wine.
I found a giant tall boy of Sapporo at the 7-Eleven over there cost the same as like a 40.
Oh, wow. Okay. That was like one of the only beers I ever enjoyed was Sapporo and Kirin. Yeah. Like, I was never a beer guy, but then, like, I worked at a Japanese restaurant for
That'll do it. I remember going to, like, hibachi and stuff and having, I'm like, let me have one of these rice beers.
Yeah.
It sounds racist saying rice beers, but
It
that's
really
what they're
does.
made of.
Just while you do your fucking stupid knife
But
dance,
I like
let
them.
me
They're
drink.
light. Yeah. Make that volcano and give me one of your rice beers.
Shit. Flip me one of them shrimp.
You could really just make anything sound racist at the tone.
Yeah. Who has a bit about? Doesn't Louis has a bit about Jews?
Oh,
he's
yeah,
like, I
saying
want
the
Obama
word
to just
Jews,
slip it
yeah.
in. Yeah.
Yeah, because you could say, like, the Jews, and then you could be like, the Jews.
Jews.
You know, yeah. That's it.
Well, now my threshold for stories is all screwed up. First of all, I need to think less about Instagram. That's my assignment. And then
Sure.
my threshold
We should all think about less about Instagram.
No, I
Everybody,
totally.
not
Yeah,
just
no,
you.
I was just I feel like such a fucking puss, dude. Like I just every time I overthink about all of this stuff, especially Instagram. It just ruins my day. But yeah, I want to hear better stories from crazier people now, which is
In terms of yeah, I mean Cole's stories are, no offense to you, Cole, your stories are great. I was saying though, like they all have one common thread.
Sure.
So there's varieties of stories out there, you know. And Cole, I mean, it must be very hard to be attracted to such a small finite population, you know?
Yeah.
Like I'm attracted to women. And sure there are some women that I'm more attracted to than others, but it's a general catch-all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you have like a little kink, you know, like that, where that's like where you're driven, that must be tough to meet a person.
Do you remember you were a radio guy, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember on Howard Stern he would have Jeff the Vomit guy on?
Yeah, he's one of the whack pack dudes.
Yeah, so he was this
What was
dude,
his deal? He just would puke.
He was into girls puking, and he would want to coach them in vomiting.
That's
and so
fucking
he wouldn't
weird.
want to touch it. He wouldn't want to like make them vomit. He would want them to vomit, and he would coach them through it. And that was his sexual fetish. And so for the years that he was on Stern, he maybe had 2 women ever.
That's a
contact
tough one.
him.
Vomiting. I mean, like
It's very.
I feel like
strange.
that was very. I feel like now with the internet, that guy was probably making hay. You know what I mean? But if he was, especially if he was on the Stern, if he was doing whatever the level of Stern would be today, like if he was on Rogan talking about that, he'd have a ton of chicks being like, "I'll puke for you.
Yeah.
I'll puke right now. You want to puke right now?" They'd send videos of it.
Yeah.
And there would be like a Pornhub
For sure.
segment for him.
Yes,
You know?
absolutely. Yeah,
So-
it's just so strange that's like, yeah.
It's gotten easier over time. But it's like, yeah, I mean, if you have to find, like, say he only found love in a person that would puke, that would be tough, you know? And it's like, if I have to tell them to do it, it's gone. You know what I mean? So they need to want to do it. And it's like, okay, man, well,
That's
you
very niche.
seem like you're going to be very fucked.
Yeah.
So,
That's so
yeah,
weird.
it's tough.
Yeah.
Do you have anything like, now that you're sober, do you have any like, I find this is not like a detriment to sober people, but I find that sober people sometimes like file all of that addiction or like whatever, that obsession into one very small finite like hobby.
I did for a minute. I was first of all, I got an eating disorder because of it. So like I transferred it into an eating disorder.
In terms of like you didn't want to eat anymore?
Like it's something you can control, I think was what it was. So I've had body dysmorphia since I was a kid because I grew up, I was a fat kid. So I like immediately, my man Travis knows, I immediately started controlling my intake of food because it was something that I felt like in my otherwise out of control world, I could really zero in on. So it was working out really hard, and then I got bulimia. So it was like I had to really go to therapy to whatever, but stand up, I guess, is what I do. I mean, I have to do it 3 or 4 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
I have to write for 4 hours a day at least. Like I still work out crazy, and I have to monitor that so I don't go overboard.
Well, those two things aren't terrible. I mean, those are things you should.
No, it definitely.
Those are the things you'd like to do. I mean, you're
Yeah.
bettering your body, and you're trying to have a career. So
I think a lot of people will mask. That's the other thing about sobriety, where it's just like a lot of people will mask that they're in this perfect way, and it's like, yeah, you probably got something else going on if you're like bragging about how great everything is right now. It's just like you still should go to therapy.
yeah,
So that's why like somebody said on stage the other day, they're like, yeah, I'm 10 years sober. Yep, clap for me. And it's just like, and there was no joke. It was just, yep, clap for me. And I'm just like,
oh yeah.
what? Like that's
Yeah.
Well,
you
some
know.
sober people start stand up after they have a successful moment at an AA meeting. Do you know what I mean? In terms
Yeah.
of getting a laugh, like I'm getting a lot of laughs in these AA meetings. I'm gonna go do some mics, and then they treat it the same way. Do you know what I mean? They go
Yeah.
up on stage, and it's like, I'm 10 years sober, and everyone's like, okay. You
Cool.
know, and like, what's the joke part now? And like, they're like, oh no, that's where people like, that's where I get my momentum. Usually, that's where I get my most accolades in the front. You know?
Yeah. Well, the weird part is it's like it's hack almost like to the point where it's just like if that's your shtick is like let's talk about me being sober, like, and that's whatever, then it's just kind of like, okay, we've heard it.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, it takes some time to realize what you're doing is like a crutch or some sort of like, trope that's been done. It takes just like literal reps to figure that out. Some people never figure it out. You see people all the time that you see for like months and months and months, and they just do the same shit over and over again and eat it every time. And for whatever reason, it's not clicking that they need to change it.
That's always fascinating to me. Like, I don't know how you could live with sucking ass that often.
There's a dude who comes in and I can't remember how long he's sober, but he has the demeanor of somebody who's appealing to a judge to not sentence him longer. And he's so fucking funny, like almost unintentionally. Like he keeps a serious face the entire time, and he says the most fucked up shit. Like my she's like, I know she's gonna be a cute girl, and I'm just gonna have to like.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
Blue Eyes. I can't remember what his name is.
It's Brett Banta.
He destroys every time.
Yeah, because and he's also got this robot way of talking.
Yes,
it's insane.
So it's literally like he's at an AA meeting and he doesn't even know.
Yeah, what his business is like? My daughter's gonna be pretty, unfortunately. Like he's just got this super deadpan tone.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
It's fun.
But I was talking about him last night because he's so fucking funny, and like I don't even know if he realizes it. But yeah, you gotta like spin it in a way where it's not just like I'm sober, clap for me, and then like you use that applause break and just assume that people like you.
Well, yeah, it's like anything else. I mean,
yeah,
I'm married or like I'm this, I'm that. It's just about getting better.
Don't give away
comedy,
my whole set.
To start comedy, people do those things, and they don't even realize they're doing it yet.
How long have you been doing stand-up?
Oh, like a decade. It's terrible.
Oh wow, that's terrible.
It's just too long.
You're actually succeeding at it.
I mean, that's good for debate, I suppose. I mean, compared to, I guess, some people maybe, but compared to some others, not so much.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
I feel like it's
all wherever you're in your head,
Yeah. Do you like actually? You would still enjoy it, obviously.
Oh my God, of course. That's all I care about.
Good. Right.
Yeah, no, I would never. I'm not one of those people I hate those people actually that just they're on the rise or whatever. They got a little heat and they're just like, fucking stand it up, and you're like, then quit, dude. I don't fucking want to.
I hate people.
I hate the people like when I moved out here. There were tons of people that were like, this city will just eat at you or whatever, and it's like I don't want to hear that shit right now, dude. Like, I feel like if you hang out and you get into like those certain circles where that shit happens, people are like, everyone's fake in LA. It's like, well, who are you hanging out with?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's people from all over the world here. They're not just like LA people or whatever. That shit, I mean, sure, that shit exists too, but it's like you don't have to spend time in it.
People being fake in LA has never been my experience out here. And like the combined like 6 years I've been out here, like, no. Like, I don't talk to those people. I'm like, oh, this dude's weird, and I don't talk to him anymore.
Yeah. There are those people that'll come to the mic and be like, what's your name? How you doing? Like, and talk you up, especially if they think you got like a little something going on.
Yeah.
But you can spot those people a million miles away, and you're like, I just don't want to deal with this person.
Yeah, if you think everyone's fake or you think your friends are fake, you're probably an idiot.
You're probably fake.
Yeah, or you're a fake person too.
Yeah,
there you go.
I think the way that I perceived anybody who has any sort of notoriety was because the first couple of mics I went to were around the Silver Lake area because I live in Echo Park, so I was like, oh, I'll just go to some shit close here. Nobody was nice. Like, nobody was fucking nice. I tried to come up and talk to people. I was like,
hipster pieces of shit.
Yeah, and it was just
the thing about that is like, and here's the thing, like, I don't begrudge those people that weren't like nice, quote unquote, but like at the Fourth Wall special, because it is like a community builds from it because it's just constant. Do you know what I'm saying? So like those other mics, you're not watching the other guys. Sometimes you are. It's the same way in like New York City or something where they just have like regular mics. It's not, and like there are pros and cons, by the way, in both of these situations. But it's a mic where you just want to go do your shit.
Yeah.
You get there and you realize like this isn't going to be productive, and then you're just in a shitty mood. And it's like someone who comes up to me is like, "Hey, what's your name? How you doing?" Like you're like, this fucking guy now too. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
so
was
like,
it? No, I didn't go up like I went up and asked a dude like I was like, "Hey, does this mic stop at 11?" Because like it said on Comedy Bureau it stopped at 11. He's like, I don't know. Why would you ask me? And I was okay.
But yeah, no, of course. I can see where that guy's coming from and from where you're coming from. It's just not fair. A good, like, that's that guy's probably like, what do I look like? I don't know what the fuck's going on.
I didn't expect people to accept me right away. I know I have to, like, hang out for a couple of years for people to be like, oh, he's a fixture now. Or he's like, we've been through some shit together. Because for the most part, I've made a decent amount of friends, and it took a minute.
Of course.
But yeah.
I still feel like I don't have any friends.
Yeah. Well, I'm also just, like I said, I'm in my head all the time. So, like, I'm just so neurotic and, like, just it was such a weird feeling. But just being patient is not my strong suit.
Yeah.
So.
Did you start here?
No, I started in Salt Lake.
Okay. So, but back home, did you have, like, a scene that you were a part of?
Sorta, but not really. I mean, like, people were cool there for the most part, but the ones who were like grizzled and kind of have been in it a while just were,
sounds like a scene.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
pretty much.
So
yeah, that's what happens. There's people that never left that are old and grizzled, and they either wish that they left or that they're like too complacent in where they are, so they can stay there forever. And then when a new person comes in, they're like, "Oh no, this guy's trying to get in on my turf." And then meanwhile, you got the young people who are like, "We're all in this together," like let's all like blah blah blah. See, like I grew up in one of those too, and I never enjoyed this. This isn't a band to me. Do you know what I mean? This is like a solo sport. I'm in it for me. Like, and I would say that selfishly. I'm like, I don't really give a shit about the scene and the success of the scene.
Yeah.
I care about this guy, So that's how I operated within it. And so I got a lot of flack for that, but like also people understood, I always knew who the people that, like had the eye of the tiger or whatever, wanted to get the fuck out of there. But yeah, I just feel like when you come here though, it's the same thing. Like, you can't, like, sure, you want to be accepted by LA and everything like that, but at the same time, it's like, who gives a shit what other people at Mike's think about you? You know what I mean?
I think that's just my driving force behind most things is, like, in the back of my head, I'm like, I need to be, but, like, I don't go out of my way to do anything to be, like, friendly other than say hi. Because, like, I don't hang out. I don't, like, I'm married and like I just want to go home and go to sleep when I'm done.
Yeah.
So like I fucking go to Mike's and like I'll be cordial with people. That's all I care about is like hi, and that's it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, it's an interesting like kind of balance to keep.
Of course, it's like any other social. It's worse than other jobs or anything like that because it's like at a job you go to it and like they kind of discourage you to socialize and stuff. But when you're doing this, it's like you're out at night. It's like these. You want some people to become your friends, obviously. You need some sort of social interaction involved with it. And that kind of naturally occurs after a little while,
Some time goes by. There's people who I've definitely made friends with who we're just in the same places all the time.
Yeah, so, that's how it goes.
Yeah, so.
You find your people, and if you don't, like, push it or whatever, you find them.
Yeah.
Eventually.
I mean, I usually just try to kiss people on the mouth, and then if they resist, I'm just like, oh, I didn't know you were like, you subscribe to traditional standards. And then, you know what I mean? It's put me in a box, I guess. So I'm trying to think of what you were talking. So the college thing, was that the last time you've had like a crazy...
Yeah, because like I said, I basically pivoted my way into weed for the most part other than the DWE. And like I said, even on that night, I don't think I was drinking in excess. I just was drinking and I got the .09 thing.
Yeah.
So, but what I did have quite a bout with was pills for a while.
Preach.
And it got to the point where like I wasn't ever like robbing. I didn't know how to get them. That was really what stopped me from doing them was once the source ran out. And I couldn't get them, I would just white knuckle my way through until I just didn't like require them anymore or like crave them, I guess.
Were you still in Buffalo?
Yeah, the whole time.
Is there like a big like heroin availability there?
Yeah, for sure. I never went down the heroin. Like that was the other thing. It never took me because I'm scared of needles, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, and the whole thing just kind of like made me queasy.
Yeah,
but I definitely am going to do heroin before I die.
I'll be too, for sure.
100%.
That's
like when I'm old, that's how I want to die.
Absolutely, me too.
Yeah.
I've talked to my wife about that. I'm like, if I'm on my deathbed and I'm just a fucking moron and like I'm like, all right, just please overdose me.
Second I lose a facility, boot me up.
Yeah. What about like a colostomy bag?
Would that? Oh, you're saying like I need one? What's hilarious is my father, before I moved out here, he had like diverticulitis or some shit. That's when you get like a seed
diverticulitis.
Yeah. So he had that for a while, but like he got it to the point where like the shit tore, like at where his colon meets like the intestines and shit.
Fuck,
so he had to get.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So he had to get a surgery to like repair that and blah blah blah. So he needed a colostomy bag for a time. And he told me, he's like, I'd rather die than have a colostomy bag.
Yeah, I wondered
Damn.
that, dude. Well, because now
and I was like, fuck, you're only going to have it for like 3 months. Like,
yeah.
Because I can't imagine what that's like.
It was Johnny Knoxville had a catheter in his dick for like 3 years. And
really?
Yeah, because he like broke some sort of thing like in his pelvis, I think. So he had to have a catheter for like X amount of time. So his girlfriend or his wife or whatever had to help him. Right? Yeah. That's one of those things where it's just like, Jesus.
But I guess like if they told me I couldn't shit on my own, yeah, that's heroin time.
Yeah, that's
100%.
fair. Yeah, dude. Same with I was thinking.
Especially if you guys get the permanent colostomy bags. Check out a buddy's dad recently had to get one, and like so forever you poop in a bag.
Well, because I was listening to Tommy Chong on Rogan the other day, and he was saying he has a colostomy bag now, and I'm like, what's the point after that?
Oh no, I mean, well, I guess he's living a fruitful life. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I guess if you're rich and you have a colostomy bag, you're like, well, pros and cons. But if I'm like living in some shithole apartment and I have to clean my own shit out of a bag, and I don't know.
It's heroin time.
Yeah, and I have the other thing where it's like I could go blind, like pretty much at any point.
Yeah.
So if I go blind, I might ride it out for like a second, but it's heroin time probably too at that point. Blind.
So at this
since
point,
I know what I've seen for most of my life, then I'm supposed to transition to this.
Yeah.
No thanks.
So at this point, is your vision, is it just super spotty or like blurred?
It's not blurred. I mean, I see fine with glasses. So I think. I mean, I probably don't see fine.
Yeah.
But I see fine enough for me to function. You know.
Yeah. Well, it's literally to a point where it's like, yeah, I mean, like we don't know how your eyes are going to go.
I mean, it's a point. It's to the point where it's like anything could happen, but at the moment it's stable. You know what I mean? And that's all you could like. There's nothing they can do to further stabilize it at the moment, and at the same time, they can't tell if it's like going to become unstable at any point. You know, it's just time and wear and all that kind of shit.
You ever thought of getting stem cells injected directly in your face?
That's the only reason I have this eye still.
Oh,
this eye should probably be a glass eye.
Oh, yeah.
But they're hoping with stem cells and stuff that eventually they can replace the tissues that have deteriorated.
That'd be pretty crazy that you could actually repair your eyes like that.
Oh, I know,
Shove
right?
a needle in your face.
Well, it wouldn't be that. It would be like right now they can transplant corneas, but your retina is a tissue, so they can't transplant that.
Oh, okay.
So what they're hoping is they can rebuild a tissue. And I don't know what that would entail, if they would like then wrap your eye with it again.
It's like them growing ears on mice and shit like that.
Yeah.
Basically.
Oh yeah, no, I mean they're doing all kinds of wild shit.
Yeah, all sorts of.
Dude, the science is out of control. It's fucking crazy.
And then there's also the chance, like I've seen these things, they could put like a lens in your eye, or something that's digital. You know what I mean? You could have an eye like a hawk. There's like these contact
if you
lenses
could get that
and
fucking $60 million man eye, that'd be
fuck, dude. I'm
dope.
like dial in and shit.
You have the little numbers like the Matrix. Just
God, golf would be fucking sweet.
Oh, that'd be so dope.
It's just fucking
right now I play
balls.
and I have to bring somebody that's a super nice guy where I could be like, "What tank?" And I'd be like, "Do you see it?" Because I never know.
No, like I have bad eyes for most people, and like people say I should get LASIK, and I'm like, I don't want anybody like I know they're good at it,
right?
But like I don't want.
There is a risk.
Fuck
though.
it up. Yeah.
It's still like scooping your eyeball.
Well, I've seen people who've had that shit get fucked up, and it fucks you up forever because there's no fixing it if it fucks you up. Like I've heard if it goes wrong, it just looks like you have Vaseline over your eyes forever.
Jesus fucking Christ, that's terrifying.
God.
Yeah, it's just like.
What's that percentage risk though? I mean, it can't be that high.
Like even if it's 10%, you gonna try it? That's what I always thought.
It's the same with me going skydiving. I'm not going skydiving. I know there's basically no risk.
Yeah, it's like, what do you need 20/20 vision for? You're going to fly a jet soon?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's fine for what you got.
Well, I spend, $200 every couple of months on contacts. And like, I'm totally fine with that. I have no, I don't want to get a fucking razor blade in my eye.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't. My dad has had to have the surgery 2 times, and I'm just like, yeah, fuck that.
2 times?
Yeah, because they fucked up the first time. So, like, his vision just started going crazy blurry. And
it's not good.
Yeah, he went back and did it. And now he still has to use readers. So it's just like, what the fuck is the point?
Yeah, it's not worth it.
Yeah, it's so fucking bizarre.
I had a LASIK doctor back home when I was on the radio who would looked at me like a challenge, like, let me try your fix your eyes. I'm like, dude, I know what's wrong with my eyes and I know what you do, and they don't even line up.
Yeah.
You couldn't fix the things that need fixing in order for me to see. So what's your fucking... You're a doctor. You should know that. He's like, let me try, dude.
Gonna Dr. Megala your eyes? Great.
He was fucking one of these, like, doctors that bought a lot of commercials, you know, so he's on TV all the time.
I
thought he was like a hot
I'd
shot.
never let that fucking guy
fuck that
touch
shit,
it.
dude.
It's like your doctor, what's the fucking guy from The Doctors or whatever?
Dr. Oz.
Maybe not necessarily Dr. Oz, but some of those
doctors.
doctors.
The doctors.
Yeah, those guys. The doctors. Those motherfuckers. No, I wouldn't trust any of them to cut me open.
No, yeah.
Like, especially all of them seem young and, like, good looking. And I'm like, no, I don't want you to touch me. Like, absolutely not.
Yeah, no. Just any surgery, like, but yeah, especially my eyes or my ears, because I have really terrible ears. And I just don't want, I'm like, just let them rot. I don't care. Like, I don't want you to fuck them up any more than they're fucked up.
Yeah.
So, it's just super, whatever. Were the pills for a surgery initially?
They were for my eye surgeries. That's how I got introduced to them. For
sure. So you just, how long did you do them?
Well, like when I first did them, like when I first really enjoyed them, because I did them, I guess, when I was like 12, when the first surgery.
Oh, okay.
12 or 13, but it wasn't like one of those things that felt like an addiction or whatever. But at the same time, as a child, I never slept. I was up for days. I had insomnia issues. So these things were like amazing.
Yeah.
And then when I got them again, you know, end of high school / college for my other surgeries, then I was like, this is this shit. You know what I mean? Like, I was really into them. And they were prescribing them to the point of excess. And I could keep getting them. So I was just doing them all. And then after the fact, I remember starting to do comedy and, like, meeting some comics who would do pills here and there. And they'd be like, I can hook you up. So I would go through them, you know, buy a few here and there. And so I just kept doing it because it was helping me sleep, you know, at night. And I loved just, like, wasting a Saturday by, like, waking up, getting breakfast, taking a few of them, laying back down, and then just, like, being in bed and, like, feeling the itchies and, like, it still sounds magical sometimes. But then honestly, what happened was, I mean, I was going pretty hard when I was at the end of my Buffalo stint. And, you know, I would be, like, going to a bar and drinking and, like, taking a Xanax to, like, keep going, or, like, a Percocet here and there. And then doing blow sometimes, like, at the same time for I don't know why. But, like, so I was doing all that, like, mixing and matching and stuff like that. But then when I moved here, I had no friends to, like, go out with, and also no friends to, like, sell me drugs. So I just stopped.
Yeah.
And I just didn't do them again until I went back home to Buffalo. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, I guess I could try and do, like, crazy things to get them here, you know, like, I think addicts would if I were, like, I'm not saying I'm not an addict, but I'm not saying I am, because at the same time, it's like, if I were an addict, wouldn't I have, like, gone through lengths to find a way to find these things here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Instead, I was just like, I guess I'll just not do that now.
Yeah, I feel like that's the yeah.
And it honestly, like, I'm thankful, because I don't know how I functioned at all, but I did, and you know, it sucked. Looking back, it's like, Jesus, you know what I mean? And now I feel much better day to day, I guess, you know?
So it's got to be like first of all, I think the weed probably helped.
Yeah. No, I mean, I always had weed throughout.
Yeah.
And like, even when I would do these pills, like when it was recreationally, I wouldn't do them every day. I would stockpile them and save them for like a weekend, and then just disappear for like 3 days. And then I would, like, emerge and be like, oh man, you know, dust the cobwebs out of my head. But I always knew, like, it was a slippery slope, so I would pace myself, I guess, to a degree, but still you know, I'm still taking like 6 in a weekend or something, you know, something crazy. So it's like, and I'm still mixing and stuff like that. So there is a sense of recklessness, but also I was, like, trying to keep the bridles on the whole time, you know?
Is there stuff in your family, like, addiction stuff?
No, I don't think so. I mean, my dad I would consider maybe an alcoholic, but he wouldn't consider that, and it's never really affected his life.
Yeah.
He's also Egyptian, right?
Yeah, he's just a foreign guy who drinks, so I mean, like, he can drink me under
my buddy's
a table.
dad was is Egyptian as well, and he's half white, and he like just would crush liquor every day.
Yeah, he could drink like a half a handle of scotch like every day pretty much.
And he would just be like drunk and be like, my country.
And he wouldn't even be like that affected by it. He wouldn't even be. He'd wake up at 5 a.m. and go to work the next day.
Half the time I didn't even notice, especially when I was a kid, because I was in a band with him. And when I was 16, I was like barely noticed he was hammered. My dad was like, "That guy reeks of vodka." And I was like, "Man, he's crushing, whatever, man.
He's cool.
His dude's fucking great."
Now every time you smell somebody that smells like vodka, you're like, "This guy must be cool. He's probably a cool guy."
That guy smells like a delicious margarita.
But like the foreign thing is super weird too, because it's like anybody in the UK or like, you know, in Germany or fucking Australia, like they drink like champs, and you wouldn't be like, you're an alcoholic. They'd be like, hey, go fuck yourself. No, I'm not.
Dude, London especially, many of my friends who have gone there, like they just get fucked up there. Like just constantly. And also Coke is everywhere.
My brother went to Germany for a study abroad, and he said his first day there, he was still jet lagged. It was Oktoberfest, and he drank 4 steins of beer, and he was used to Utah beer, which is it's, you know, like 3.5 or something.
Yeah.
And so he drank 4 of them and vomited for like a day and a half.
Oh my God.
And just slept for 2 days.
German beer's no joke.
Yeah, I never drank in Europe. I drank in Argentina.
I was a bouncer at a bar that served all kinds of crazy shit. Like it was beer specialty, and most German beers are 12.5%.
Oh,
holy Christ!
Which is more than a lot of like
also like
vodkas.
a steak. It's like these people who drink these IPAs and shit. I can't fuck with.
I didn't even think about that.
These like craft beers and stuff.
Yeah,
get out of town. I'm drinking fucking Miller Lite right now.
Free plug,
and I'll drink any piss beer like this up and down, because like also I can gauge, like I was saying before with those blackouts, like when you drink vodka crayons or whatever the fuck you're drinking vodka in with Kool-Aid or whatever the fuck you mix it with, jungle juice or whatever they call it. You don't know what the fuck you're drinking, and like you're drinking like 6 of them in a night because you're just thirsty. Then you get blackout. This I know, like I drink 2 of these, I get filled up before I get drunk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is just like water.
I blacked out with my ex on this stuff called Devil's Milk, because we both worked at the same bar, and 15.7%.
Is that a beer?
Yeah, it's a dark beer. They only give it to you in a tiny glass. I had 4 of them. And I'm an enormous man.
It really does. That's what it reminds me of. Is you said a steak. For me, it's like it would be like drinking a giant thing of like cold brew coffee.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, oh God, like just after you finish it, like you feel like shit just based on
just drinking
feeling
it.
full.
It could be no alcohol in it at all, and I feel gross drinking it. It's like drinking a milkshake.
Big malt.
Yeah,
it's so fucking thick, like you could gum it.
I don't think I've ever not regretted a milkshake. By the way,
I love milkshakes for the record. I'm just gonna say that.
No, I think they're great, but afterwards I'm like, so much sugar.
They make me feel like I'm lactose intolerant sometimes, because I'm like, God, I'm like, it was just an excessive amount of dairy.
I had one on New Year's, and I woke up with a hangover. Like I was like, this is the most wholesome hangover.
That is another crazy thing about getting sober too. Like and also when you start eating clean too.
Yes.
Like having a carb hangover. I'm like, I feel like someone beat me up with hammers.
It makes me want to kill myself.
Because
I wake up and I'm like, I had cake. What the fuck?
It's further proof that sugar's fucking a drug.
That's fair.
It's true.
A delicious drug.
It's so good. That's the only like out of the things that I quit. I don't miss alcohol. I don't miss Coke. I don't miss Molly. Sugar. I miss sugar so much. It's so fucking.
It fires some of the same neural synapses as fucking cocaine, though.
It does, yeah. That's what they say. Like
I've had less of a hangover on cocaine than I have eating sugar after eating clean for a long time.
And maybe that's why. I mean, cocaine's never been my thing. I've definitely done it a few times, but I don't like. I've never like been like, I need to find Coke. You know, it's always been
that's my demon.
Me and
it's
my
delicious.
it'd be like me and my friends are like, want to play? I just want to have like a chill night. You want to play like NHL 19 or whatever on Xbox? And then I'd be like, okay, we got to get some Coke for that. But like, it wouldn't be like, let's go out and do. You know,
fucking fun are those games? Though?
Oh my God, I love them.
I feel like that's everybody talks about NBA and like the 2K whatever. I was terrible at those games. And all the NHL games, I was like, fuck yes, this is amazing.
Oh, I love all the sports games.
Yeah.
Fuck Fortnite and all your dumb shoot games.
Yeah.
Shoot
all
games.
That gay shit.
Like the oldest man.
If I don't play video games, I would buy a console just to play like Grand Theft Auto, and
It's
fucking NHL.
This summer, my I have like some gigs in July that I'll make a bunch of money on that I'm excited for.
Woo.
That I'm gonna definitely buy a PlayStation just so I could buy the show, which is a Major League Baseball game.
Oh shit!
But they only make it for PlayStation. They don't make it for Xbox. So I'm literally just gonna buy a PlayStation,
like
so
a PS4.
Yeah. Or whatever the PlayStation.
Have you seen the ads for like the boxing game, the new boxing game that's coming out on it? It looks real. It looks like real fucking life. It's insane.
Graphics are getting out of control.
I love it.
It's so cool.
It's so nuts. I was watching my little sisters play something may have been Grand Theft Auto, and I was like, what is this fucking shit?
It's so funny that they also have games though where you're like, there's no cool graphics on this. What are they even doing? They look like fucking, you could make it on your phone. You're like, who would buy that?
Yeah, my girlfriend's really into video games, and she's been
watching
Fortnite.
Fortnite stinks.
You know, the new video games that are coming out in VR are borderline terrifying. Like they look so real that they're afraid they're going to give people PTSD.
Oh yeah. The ones where you can like walk out on a ledge and shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
I don't think I can do virtual reality.
No, I don't think I can do it.
You need,
no, I mean I don't think I
eyes.
could physically like see in it.
You need both eyes, because it's almost an optical illusion.
Right, it's like 3D movies. I can't go to those either.
Oh yeah, which 3D movies? By the way, very overrated.
Yeah, I don't think I'm missing out on anything. But at the same time, like you go to like Universal Studios or something, and you go to like the Terminator ride.
Oh yeah,
it sucks. I remember that's how I remembered. I went to Orlando in like 2011, and I had like lost my eye maybe 5 years now at this point. But it really like set in when I went to Universal Studios and I went into the Terminator ride and I put the glasses on. I'm like, oh yeah, I remembered it in that moment. I'm like.
Everybody's screaming and you're like trying to scream to fit in. You're like, totally, I get it.
I remembered the ride from when I was a kid and I was like, I'm not seeing all the stuff here.
That sucks.
And it's so sad when I don't know if you've ever gone on the ride and just taken the glasses off. But it's like you see like a sparkler. It's like, and you're like, that's what does the explosions. That's great. Stuff like that. You're like very disenchanted by all of it.
I went and saw this World War I movie that came out that Peter Jackson directed. And it was just all this colorized footage. It was so dope. But it was colorized footage from World War I, and they made it 3D. And the 3D was like, it wasn't anything crazy, but it was still interesting to draw you into the.
That's kind of like the direction 3D's moving anyway. It's more of just depth, so you can feel like you're inside
I miss like
it.
the old days of 3D when it was just silly, where it would be like
someone would
like blow like the thing at you. Those were like the ones.
They would always have like a long sandwich, like thrust.
Yeah, a long sandwich. Yeah, totally.
Like a tomato would squirt at you.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
And they'd all go, whoa.
Yeah.
This is the best, dude.
I had a Virtual Boy. Do you guys remember those?
I do remember them at like the store. I never had one.
It was garbage. It was like red lines.
Yes.
It wasn't even anything cool.
I don't think I remember
It looked
that.
like Luke Skywalker when he's like shooting into the thermal exhaust port when he's like, use the force, Luke, and he takes that shit off and he's like, I'm not using this shit.
Yeah.
But it looked like there was like
It was like you were playing Snake on a Nokia phone, but it was red. So you're just like, oh, this is, wow, how fun is this? And the commercials made it look so fucking
because it was like Game Boy, but like with VR goggles.
Yeah.
So it had like all the graphic quality of a Game Boy, which was nonsense.
Yeah, like
couldn't play it in the
Microsoft Paint
dark
quality.
Yeah.
Did
a calculator, basically.
Do you remember when they said that like Texas Instruments, they're like, oh, you can program these with like video games on them?
Oh yeah, people did that shit all the time in my school.
You actually saw them?
Yeah, I remember people fucking with those Texas Instruments. We used to have our school. I don't know what they made us buy them for like 8th and 9th grade or something like that.
Yeah, I had to get one of the TIs.
People remember you do the matrix on it where you'd hit like delete and it'd be like, and do like the matrix up and down. I don't know. People used to do dumb shit like that all the time. I never fucked with mine.
Those things were pretty impressive during the flip phone era. They were very impressive.
Oh yeah, they were They were like budding with, other than like you couldn't talk on the phone, but they were like the iPad before an iPad.
Yeah, because you could actually use ROMs on some of them, like where you would upload like Mario and stuff. I saw people uploading Mario onto their old sidekicks and shit like that.
Crazy.
Yeah,
sidekicks.
I had a sidekick.
I did not. I never had one.
Yeah.
It's amazing that Texas Instruments didn't get into the phone game.
Yeah, I know.
Because they made an insane calculator.
They're still making insane calculators, I would assume.
I imagine that, like most colleges still.
Yeah, but like, do you need a T9 calculator now at a school when you have your phone?
I'm gonna Google their new calculators. They had to break out like a new one, right?
Probably.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it's. I would assume that they have to do some sort of crackdown on phones in schools now, just to make it so it's like, yeah, you can't have your fucking phone while we're taking this test.
I don't remember why we needed these particular calculators, though. It was like for algebra or something. Like,
I think it was for us. We had to do plotting, like
with like angles and shit, right?
Yeah, and so it would like do the little dots and
right.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was for. I was so bad at math. So
I hated it. Yeah,
dude, I was so terrible at it.
But now I feel like you could do it all on your phone or just Google the answer.
Yeah, I would assume so. Yeah, so they probably have to have some. The weirdest part is in high schools and junior highs, they aren't allowed to tell the kids not to have their phones. So like kids have their fucking phones on them all the time.
I bet.
And so like you can't really set a regulation on it other than like during a test, don't use it. But like what the fuck are you supposed to do as a teacher if every kid has a phone?
Texting to the point of like you can just spare one. Like, I remember we had limits on text still when I was in high school.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, if I were to send one text, it would be like 35 cents, and my mom would want to kill me. And nobody really was texting yet, you know? So then when I got to college, it was like unlimited texting, so everyone was doing it. And I remember, like, one paper, or, like, one test at school, at college, texting a guy T9 style. And being like, what is the answer to, like, this question? And then he would, like, look it up on his computer and text me the answer.
That was, like, cool.
Because I didn't have a browser yet, you know what I mean? So I couldn't just Google it myself. But, yeah, I remember cheating on a test like that.
I had a PSP, and I remember trying to connect to Wi-Fi on a PSP, and it just never worked. And so, like, I would, like, try to look at porn on my PSP, and it was just, like... But, like, I would try to cheat on shit on it, too, and, like... there was a Wi-Fi connection in my school, just never worked. And now you could just be like, oh, what's fucking the capital of this?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, you can just Google anything on any phone now, and it's like, how do they stop them from doing that, I wonder?
I don't think they can. It's so... Did you watch 8th Grade? That Bo Burnham movie?
No, I haven't watched it.
It kind of touches on it, but then my little sister's also, like, one of them's in 7th grade going into 8th, and she just has her phone on her at all times.
Jesus.
Yeah. So just because they can't fucking, like, that's, you know, however many kids are in a school, 1,000 kids.
I remember I had a cell phone in 7th grade. And this is like I was a sophomore in high school, was I? Yeah, I was a sophomore in high school when I got mine. So it was like 2002. Mm-hmm. And it was like, you had to keep it in your locker.
Oh, yeah.
But I stopped doing that because I was like, I'll just keep it on silent. And not like anyone's going to call me anyway. But I can play Snake or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then I remember when I got my job at the radio station, I was a senior in high school, and I got a phone call, like, in an English class. And I remember just going, like, I got to take this, and just walking out of the English class. And the teacher was, like, his head, like, exploded. Like, who the fuck do you think you are? I'm out in the hallway, like, and he comes out, and I'm just like, oh, I'll be right back. I'm just fine. And then, like, I didn't give a fuck with this guy. Yeah, it was. I was like, I don't give a big dick fuck with this guy.
Was it your boss or something?
Yeah, it was like, you got the job. It was like a call about, like, hey, you can start this time. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to, like, let that go to voicemail.
Like a Richie Rich move.
Yeah, and my teacher lost his mind, and I was like, fuck this guy.
Oh, my God, dude.
Oh, dude, I love senioritis, the feeling of fuck every person.
I remember going into my guidance counselor because, like, he made me go to, like, the principal's office, and I'm like, I went to my guidance counselors instead. I'm like, this guy's trying to get me in trouble because I got this phone call. And he's like, all right, let me handle him. And I'm like, good, yeah, see? And I was like, I wanted to go back and be like, shh. Fucking bitch.
Oh, dude, the limited power teachers already have. I imagine once it's challenged, they get real butthurt.
I had a teacher kick me out of his class, and it was in, like, auto shop, and the whole class, we were just all fuck-ups. And so nobody was doing their work, and, like, he hadn't even gotten to the point where we were in the shop. And so I said something at, like, quiet whatever time, and he's like, get out. And I'm like, okay. And so I just walked out, and he grabs me by the arm, like, ripping my arm. And so I just immediately was just like, get the fuck off me, get the fuck off me. And, like, I'm cussing him out, and then the principal was like, listen, he put his hand on you, so we're not going to do anything to you. Give you detention until the end of the day. And I was like, okay. And then
because you could straight sue.
Yeah,
I can't touch you at all.
Yeah, it was so weird. And I was like, you told me to leave. Why the fuck? And I was also I was a piece of shit when I was like 14, 15. But I just remember him grabbing my arm and then just reflex taking over. Did you find a crazy Texas Instrument?
Dude, yeah. There's the new one is the TI-Nspire CX. This motherfucker, you can like take a picture of something and it'll graph the depth and distance and stuff.
Oh my god.
Thing's bananas. It's full color display screen. It's fucking
At what point
bananas.
do we have to do we even need to do we need to teach math anymore? Or we just have all these things doing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think about that all the time where like I thought it would really haunt me that I only got to like algebra 2 and I'm just like I don't have to do anything.
But I think it's a good thing. Like it's basically testing to see what kids have like an aptitude for that, and then maybe they'll love it and they'll get involved in it later in life. And then it's like, but also at the same time, they should recognize the kids that do not and focus them elsewhere.
Yeah, don't tell them they're fucking idiots either. That's what pisses me off most about school.
Right.
They're basically like they shit on you if you're not good at one subject. It's like fuck you. Like
focus your efforts on one that they are exceeding.
Yeah, exactly.
I was so good with English and anything social studies and history and humanities.
Yeah, anything you could bullshit an answer. And
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. If it had one answer, I'm not getting there.
Yeah, I was really good with like biology and stuff like that. But in order to get any degree in that, I would need advanced level calculus. So I was like, I'll never do that.
I wanted to be a marine biologist until I literally took biology, and I was like, oh. Okay.
So it's pretty intense.
This is math. Yeah. What are we at time wise?
We are at an hour and 5 minutes.
Oh, cool. What did you experience any withdrawal symptoms like when you actually? I would imagine you did, right?
Probably, but it just felt like a hangover kind of. You know what I'm saying? So like, sure, I probably got a little sick or whatever, but it was just. I knew it was. You know what the worst part was not being able to sleep for days afterwards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why can't I sleep? I'm so tired. And it's like, I'm off the GAC. You know.
Yeah, that's what I imagine is like would be the weird transition is like learning how to sleep.
Yeah, no. So you go through some deep spells of just being insomnia or having insomnia and like being depressed and all that. But it's, it's kind of like a cycle that I've always been in. So it's like I kind of. No, it's like, okay, I just got to get through this. And, sometimes you feel like you never are going to, but...
Does weed help you with that, too?
Oh, yeah, weed helps in all the ways.
Yeah.
The worst thing for me with pill withdrawals was, like I have, like, constant, like, little pains, but they're, like, 10 times worse.
See, I don't have any,
I
don't have any actual aches and pains that I don't... Like, I didn't have that part of the pill aspect. You know what I'm saying? Like, in the terms of, like, when I was doing the pills, I wasn't, like, lying to myself, like, well, my back is, I got this or that with my back. Or it's not like when I came out of it, I was like, oh, it's so much worse or whatever, and there was never about pain management. It was always about sleeping.
That's how mine started, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, back problems kind of stuff.
I always wonder if it's, like, a testament to true, like... your will, or if it's a testament to like the actual biology of a person, because that's why I asked about like if there are addicts in your family, because like it is like you said, you're lucky because you just were able to quit and not move on to something like heroin. And like with me, it was the same thing where like I just had to quit, and like I had a thing where I died and my ex-girlfriend brought me back, and then I was just like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
So I think it's a sheer testament to the power of will, but also like you may have just been lucky biologically.
Yeah, and like I said before, I mean, I can't sit here and tell you that I'm never going to do it again, or, if I ever found a way like to have access to a great amount of pills for a sustained amount of time, that I wouldn't go down that path. I have no idea. But I haven't had that opportunity, so it's kind of prevented me, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
From really getting too deep. And like I said with the heroin thing, I'm planning on doing that. But not till there isn't any other hope,
Yeah, that's different, though. It's fucking... Everybody thinks about that shit.
I hope so. I would hope so. But I don't know why they just don't issue heroin to the elderly.
Yeah, I would... Well, I mean, I guess they do fentanyl.
Do they just allow them to go, like, if you're old, if you're above a certain age, you can just go chill in a fentanyl clinic?
Only in hospice.
So I know a girl who became a pharmacist, and she said when she was doing all of her stuff, like if somebody was like, I'm in pain, and then they're in like stage 4 cancer and dying, like she would just
then they get that
give them
shit.
patch after patch of fentanyl.
Why does it have to get to that point, though?
I don't know. Yeah, it's really depressing because it's just... Also, I mean, like, then it's just like, why not decriminalize most drugs? Because then the violence would be decreased. Like, you should be able to go buy heroin for your elderly grandfather who has Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
Like, it just, for sure, then he would, I'm sure, be happier.
Oh, my God.
So it's just, like, my grandpa right now, we thought he was going to die, I don't know, a year and a half ago. He had a stroke. And now he's just alive and has been alive since then and doesn't know where he is, doesn't know who any of us are. And he's just in bed all
fucking
day.
give me that heroin.
Yeah, he's 97.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. And he's
especially
like
97. I think once you hit 80, put it in.
Yeah, dude.
Do it.
It's just, it's so, like, I have
You should have the choice.
Well, and then my grandma's on a bunch of pain pill stuff, and, like, my aunts are like, she's addicted. It's like, fucking let her be addicted. She's 93.
So yeah, 93? Dude, like, crush them up, let her snort them. What other fuck
yes.
do?
Yeah, I told you about her. She fucking ignored me at the mall. She's fucking cool. She's the shit, dude. She's got shit going on.
I love the idea of just a hot, stoned-ass grandma.
Yeah,
like,
let her be
up,
addicted. Who cares?
Yeah,
She's
that's absolutely what I want to be. If I make it to that age,
Hell
I
yeah.
definitely want to be like, oh, cool. Yeah, I'm going to have a Jack on the rocks with some nice heroin.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so fucking funny, dude. Were there any pills specifically that you, like, just the regulations on them, I guess, are so, because in Utah, like, OxyContin is impossible to get now.
Huh.
But
I don't think you can get it in Ohio either. I think it's
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't been home in 2 years, but I still was able to get perks and oxys. Not like at en masse, but like, I'd get like
too
10,
many people
10
in
here and
Ohio
there.
like sold their children to get oxys, so they fucking.
That's crazy.
That's
well, then they've
real
done all these
bullshit.
things
I mean,
to
I
make
get
it so
it,
you
but
can't.
I mean, I do it, but what? Yeah.
It's fine,
But I'd say, like, I guess most recently the one that I was like really into was Xanax, and I'm still am. Like, I'll take a Xanax, like if I can get it. I actually was prescribed Xanax, but I never used my prescription because I don't want to like be too attached to it. So I used to buy it from another guy, and I would buy only like a few, and I would say to myself, this is going to last me a month, and then you go back a couple of weeks later. But no, so I mean, like, I would try to regulate myself, I guess. Be aware of the fact that it's a slippery slope, and whether or not I was successful at that, I don't know. I guess I was, because I'm not like,
I would say so.
fiending for them right now. But
I mean, you can have benzos are the only other thing besides alcohol you can die from the withdrawal.
Yeah.
So, like, I think you know what I mean. Like, if you're using Xanax every day, like, people who are real Xanax addicts,
right,
those fuckers take it all day.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, I would take them and then go off them for a little. But I didn't know this at first. I was getting like a smaller Xanax, not like a full bar.
Yeah.
At first, I was just getting a small one. So then when I got the full bar, I knew it was a little more, had more whatever in it, or it was more strong.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how much. And I was taking just like the full bar when I would take it every time.
Yeah. And
then like, I was just taking them daily, like the full bar. And my buddy's like, dude, you're supposed to take like half that shit. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, really? And I was like, so 2 is real bad, right? And he's like, yeah, what are you taking 2 for? Like, in drinking? I'm like, yeah, I thought that, I don't know. I thought I was having a party.
Like, yeah, I'm not a bitch. I don't know, dude.
I was just trying to party. But yeah, then when you find yourself, like, chopping up Xanax and snorting it, then you're like, this isn't how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah. This
isn't for that. Yeah, what are you doing?
I've seen so many people black out on Xanax and then, like, getting drunk. And did I talk about this last podcast?
I don't think so.
There was this dude I know who he took a Xanax before he drank, and some girl he was with, like, tried to kiss some frat dude in front of him, and he just went ape shit. And then the cops,
right. Yeah.
Did I talk about it last one?
Yeah.
And he like slapped the cop, and then he like slapped.
Did you slap at cops? You're never getting out of jail.
He woke up in jail and was like,
That's
"What happened?"
wild.
And it was like, "Oh, well."
See, Xanax definitely are mind erasers. Like that was the one thing that was kind of scary about him, but also kind of like fun about him. Was like I would always try and like time it out. Like I'd have a set or whatever, right? And right before I did the set, I would take the Xanax. So that way when I got off stage, it would start to kick in a little bit. I'll have a beer, then I'm going to go home, and then it's going to be really raging, and I'll just go to sleep. That was always like the goal.
Yeah.
But then I remember like waking up the next day, and I'd have like fast food wrappers like next to my bed and stuff. And I'm like, when did I go to Burger King?
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Definitely don't remember going to Burger King. And then I would be like, because I remember coming home, but I definitely didn't go to Burger King when I came home. So like, when did I go to Burger King? You know what I mean? Like those things are like, I remember like I was playing a lot of video games with my friends or whatever, and I would see my friend the next day, and I'd be like, oh, I can't wait for that game tonight that we're supposed to play. It's like, dude, we played 3 last night.
Holy shit!
And you're like, what? Yeah, so those things are kind of like...
People do that shit on Ambien, too.
It's very much... Because I used to take Ambien. It was very much like Ambien, except Ambien was worse. Ambien would make me do, like... I remember I woke up the next day, and there was all this steam in my house because I had just left... I was going to take a shower, and I just left the shower on all night. So the hot shower was just running all night. Or, like, one time I, like, went to boil... Cooking always came up with Ambien. God. I went to boil water for like to make noodles, and I remember just waking up and the pan's just burning, because it's like there's no water left in it because it's all burned out, and like the fucking oven's still on or whatever. Or you make like an omelet and you leave the burner on or something, and like that shit happened with Ambien all the time. With Xanax, I never cooked anything, but I definitely seemed to like driving. After I got home.
It's so terrifying to think of how many people are out there just cruising around, Ambien out, no idea.
But you see people on their cell phones, which is kind of like I saw a girl on the freeway on the way here in a Range Rover, just like both hands. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm safe. I feel safe here. God damn it, dude. Yeah, I didn't have enough experience with. I drank codeine once.
Ooh, that's fun.
That was like one of the experiences where I was like,
Were you in Canada?
I get it. Huh?
Were you in Canada?
No, I was in Salt Lake.
They have that shit in Salt Lake?
Yeah.
Oh, prescription wise?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because they can buy that shit over the counter in Canada.
Oh, no shit. Yeah,
because pretty great.
There was a kid
well, you'd be in Buffalo, you're right there.
Yeah. I got banned from Canada.
Yeah, I wondered that too. I saw you post that. Why? For the DWI?
Yeah.
You probably, how long ago was your DWI?
It was over 10 years, but right when my 10-year thing hit last year, they made it a rule where it's like forever now.
Really?
Yeah, they like changed the law.
So
you can't even do stand up in Canada?
Nope.
So I can't go to Canada either now.
I was just starting to get I mean, if you've been since, I don't know. I really don't know how it worked, but I was getting some club work up in Canada, and then I got banned, and I was like, fuck. But yeah.
That sucks to know that all 3 of us cannot go to Canada, basically.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Well, I forgot Joey Diaz always talks about
you have to pay you could pay like a thing and see if they can let you back in, but it's not a guarantee, and then you lose the money anyway.
So you have to because my brother had his bachelor party in at like Whistler, and he was like you can't go, and I was like, no, dude, like legally I can't go. It's only been 5 or 6 years since my DUI, so you have to write to the consulate and like. They have to deem you rehabilitated.
Yep.
And then you have to send that into their embassy, and then they decide. So it's just like, I don't know if that's worth it for me to go to a bachelor party.
No, fuck that country, I say.
Yeah, it sounds fucking crazy.
Those fucking Canucks, they could suck my dick.
I've never had that much of a desire to go to Canada.
No, it's cold.
When you live right next to it, you kind of do,
yeah.
but it's like being told you can't go to Burbank. You know what I mean? Because it's that close. So it's kind of shitty in that regard. But if I lived in like, that's why it's not a real known thing. Because if you live in like Texas and they're like, yeah, you can't go to Canada. Like, who's going to Canada? I don't give a shit.
Who gives a fuck?
Did you like growing up in Buffalo?
Oh yeah, I loved it. Can't compare it to anything else. But yeah, I have no problem with it. I wouldn't have changed it.
Did you spend a lot of time going into the city and it like it's pretty close to Boston and all those places?
Oh,
right?
I mean, no, it's not at all actually. Like New York City's 8 hours away. I didn't go there until I was 20 years old or something.
I don't know why. I just immediately
it's completely on the other side. But we'd go to Toronto all the time.
Oh, that's cool.
Because that's like an hour and a half away.
You Sabres fan too?
Oh yeah, big time.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, I always liked the Sabres and the Wild. I was big into those two teams.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, I played hockey for a second in high school, so I was very bad at it. I just kind of picked it up and I was like, this should be easy. It's not. It's not an easy sport. I don't know if you've ever ice skated. It's very difficult.
It's really hard, yeah.
Did your high school have a rink and stuff?
I mean, no, not inside of it. There was a hockey team. We had like a municipal rink in our town.
Yeah.
That they played at.
That's pretty cool, dude. Yeah, that's a cool thing to grow up around that I wish I would have, because ours was just a club.
Yeah. No, there was tons of hockey everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like, when the team has been so bad the last 15 years, NHL playoff ratings are still, Buffalo's like the number 2 rated market, or like the market with the most viewership. It's crazy.
Shit. That's badass.
Yeah.
Well, do you have anything else you want to Any other stories?
Well, you were talking about the coding thing or the Xanax thing where you just fall asleep or whatever. I had one that like worked out really well, but kind of not at the same time. Like when I fly, I take Xanax still.
Yeah.
And I flew to D.C. or it was gigs in Baltimore, but I flew into D.C. because the flight was cheaper, and I thought it was like the same thing, but it's apparently not. It's like definitely further away. So I flew into D.C. and I'm on Xanax, and I was in Buffalo at the time, so it wasn't like a really huge flight. It was like an hour and a half or something. And I land, I get an Uber and go to my hotel in Baltimore, but I'm on Xanax, so I pass out in the back seat, and like I am out. The guy like had to wake me up when we got there. He was like, "Wake up, dude." So I get there. I'm like, "Okay." And I have no idea how. It was a $60 Uber, so it could have been. I thought like, well, what could that be? That's like how much it costs to go from LAX to my apartment. Yeah. So I'm thinking like, well, whatever. It's a big city. That's how much it costs. Then on the way back, I thought like, I'm going to the airport. It'll take like a half hour to get there. And it was like 2 hours away. I had driven in that Uber for 2 hours.
Holy shit. He just fucking...
He just took it. Yeah, and it was like... I was like, that ride from the airport to here was 2 hours, and I just was zonked out the whole time, and I don't even have any... It felt like 20 minutes or something like that.
Was it full Xanax that you took?
Yeah, yeah.
Holy shit.
And I thought because I took it before I took off on the plane, and the plane landed pretty quick, obviously, and I missed my like flight, and I had a layover in Philly. I could have actually just taken an Uber from Baltimore to Philly, and it would have been equidistant.
Holy fuck.
And I would have just made my layover.
Jesus Christ.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Don't schedule travel on drugs.
For sure.
That's a message brought to you by Josh Potter.
Yeah, I've done that too often.
Travel on drugs.
Where I'm like I'm in New York City trying to go to Philadelphia, and I'm like, this is a weird layover to go from Newark to Philly. That's like, what are they going to throw me? Like, like what a weird layover. And then turns out I bought a train ticket, and I had no idea it was a train ticket that I bought. Yeah, really weird.
Any airport that has trains or like anything that's that close, I'm just always like, I immediately get upset.
Yeah.
It's just like, if you have to go to Dallas Fort Worth and like take a fucking... I hate fucking Seattle Tacoma Airport too. It's the worst, where you have to take those stupid little fucking trains.
Oh yeah, within the airport, you mean?
Yeah, but then the other in Europe, you have to take a bunch of those. Like, it's like, and then you take this one that's a 2 hour.
That's how the one in Newark is, really, because it's kind of like Europe, where it's like I had to take the train to another city, whereas like the other ones are just like, the other side of the airport.
Yeah, when I flew to Japan, I didn't know that I flew into the wrong airport. So I flew to Narita, I think, and it's 2 hours away from Tokyo. So like I land from this fucking 14-hour flight, and then I have to take like a 2.5 hour train in some shitty seat to Tokyo, and I'm just sitting there just like, and then I have to meet the people who run my Airbnb and be like, "Hi, it's nice to meet you," and bow and shit. I knew a kid I went to rehab with who would drink Dexam, like the cough syrup that's like, or the additive that's in cough syrup here. And he's like, yeah, it's crazy. Like, you chug it and then you trip out.
Yeah,
and
it's like robo tripping.
Basically. Yeah, and you could feel you could feel your spine bleeding if you like touch the back of your head. I'm like, what?
That's weird.
Why would you want that?
He was this kid who, you guys ever heard of wilderness retreats that they do with youth? So he went on a wilderness retreat, and they were like, 300 miles from civilization. He escaped from the group and then wandered for 5 days and got spat out like in 2 counties over. And was just like wandering the streets with his shirt off and like his boxers and like none of his shit left. So he had just like managed to fucking maniac his way out of the forest.
That's crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I've definitely robo-tripped my face off, like with NyQuil and other things, but
I never even knew it was a thing.
I mean, I used to drink NyQuil like crazy to sleep.
I bet, especially if you have like a thing.
Insomnia, yeah.
Yeah. Do you still get insomnia?
I don't know. I'm never going unassisted these days.
That's
so.
fair. Yeah.
I don't think so. Also, my sleep patterns are very vastly different than they were in like when I was doing morning radio and stuff. So,
are you doing a lot of shows at night here?
Yeah, but I don't have to get up at 6 a.m. anymore.
Yeah, totally. But it's still like if you were awake at 3 a.m., it's still going to be like a weird time.
Yeah, I've always been a night guy, so I don't mind sleeping all day. It's fine by me.
I don't know why I figured that. Like, that's why it struck me that I was like, that you said 8 a.m. Have you slept? Did you get to sleep last night?
Oh, yeah. Last night I went to bed pretty early.
Oh, cool.
Sometimes I have to wake up early for responsibilities, unfortunately. It sucks. But, if I can catch a day nap, I'm all about it.
What else do you do for work now?
I just produce podcasts and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool. Do you do more than the ones on your mom's house channel?
No, I just work there.
Oh, that's rad, dude. Yeah, the channel is so fucking cool. But yeah, dude, what are we at now?
We got a wrap for Mike's for sure. We're at 3:37.
Dude, I really appreciate you
thanks for
being on.
Me,
yeah, of course, man. I hope you had fun.
I did, of course, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude, this was a blast. Thank you, Travis, as always.
Anytime.
Everybody, keep blacking out. You want to plug anything?
You can follow me on Twitter at @J_Potter, or you can follow me on Instagram, Josh_Potter. That's about it.
Watch Your Mom's House.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have any shows to plug.
Do you have any podcast plans coming out soon or anything?
There's something's going to happen. I have nothing to announce, though.
Cool. Yeah, go listen to the Honeydew episode and Dr. Drew After Dark, too. Great episodes and great podcasts. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Woo.
Yeah.
Bye.